Hey everybody, Shannon. Hi Shan. Hi Dawn. Hi Bergen.
Aw.
Tracy, Jovita, Renee, Christy, Robin, Tammy. Sneaky iPhone. Who's sneaky iPhone? Down there. Hi. How's everybody doing today? Jo Jovita, you look beautiful.
Oh, yes, she does.
Renee, I love your glasses. How's everyone doing? Are you guys excited for the 4th of July? Hi, Christy. Has everybody been enjoying these calls?
It's 106, feels like right now.
Oh my gosh,
So
106.
Friday. So I was
No.
like,
Yeah, it's hot here. We're
oh,
about to go to South Dakota to Mount Rushmore for the 4th of July for a family reunion. So I'm excited for cooler temps. Like I want a hoodie and sweats on. That's what I want. So how's everyone doing? And just so everyone knows, we have officially launched our membership program. So these calls, it'll be $30 a month. Clearly, we know Leanna is far beyond worth that, right? I pay in therapy $100 an hour to see my therapist, and $30 a month to have these gatherings together with trauma expert Leanna is a no-brainer. So we'll go ahead and drop that link in the comments and go ahead and snag your membership so you can be with us and keep on learning and growing.
Yes, I love that. Learning and growing. And the one thing about relational neuroscience is it says we heal and grow in relationship.
Yes.
And so that isn't so it's actually a biological imperative. The hard part is that if there's not been a relationship that's been offered or that the capacity to have these kinds of conversations have not been made available to us. And this is why the Worthy Cowgirl has that legacy piece. This is why we want to only do $30 a month because our hope is that it can grow and reach many people. Because the more we can have these kind of conversations and make them accessible, guess what? That's healing something too. Accessibility, capacity, understanding the language other than just the left brain kind of language that we've been born and raised on, reared on, whatever. Raised, reared. I always say.
Yes.
Yeah. And so that's why this is so beautiful to begin to see. Like we have lots of now worthy celebrations, people's runs, people's meeting your challenges, babies coming into this community. We just had a baby announcement that was made and it was beautiful. And, just all of the different things that we get to celebrate together and to be a witness to those celebrations. Because another part in relational neuroscience is that when we tap into feeling seen, heard, felt, received, gotten, that's what nourishes our nervous system to be able to open up into a space and a place where learning can emerge. That's why, even though we will talk about trauma, again, we have other words, burnout. I feel stuck. I feel lost in this transition in life. What happens is that all of those things, right, come down to this, or if I need to change my mindset, it's because we want to nourish the nervous system and the communication that's happening within the nervous system first, because the state of our nervous system really has influence in the language we use and the story we tell ourselves, the story we actually see, even. It influences. That's why we also have talked about, our gatherings is our vision. Remember, one of the greatest things to understand is that how we are constantly having to move from outward vision to focus. But if you focus too long, you get fixated, and we have to begin to nourish that peripheral vision. And that peripheral vision isn't very well nourished in just our daily life tasks because everything is so right here. It's my computer screen. I'm driving here. I look to the left or to the right, but I look for danger. Is it safe to move? Right? Texting. So see, we've got this very, very focused visual field that we're training. And so it's where society is, it's where we are, but then we have to begin to have the communication and the language to talk about how do we move from this fixated state that can actually hinder our capacity to see new possibilities. It actually begins to tell the nervous system, I'm feeling a little constricted here. My range of movement is being constricted. And then, yes, life in the tunnel. It's once that is being constricted, then the nervous system goes, do I just not feel safe enough to move? And then that's when we start questioning ourselves. And so again, if we want to shift mindset, we want to go right to the source of that, which is understanding and nourishing and understanding the language of the nervous system so that the mindset naturally follows, or that the thoughts that you want to think, that you want to believe in, that you want to operate from, you now have the neurophysiology to do that. And that's what I love about these conversations because it frees people from saying, I guess I didn't have enough dedication. I guess I just didn't have enough willpower. So see, in terms of these conversations, it's not going to be about willpower. It's going to be why let's dialogue as to why our nervous system isn't able yet to move into a state of learning, receptivity, clarity. And clarity, by the way, comes from more than just our thoughts. If we're looking for clarity from our thoughts, it's going to be tough sometimes, right? Clarity comes in. That's why we do movement practices, because even when we can't get clarity through our thinking, because it might not be available yet, if we can't get clarity because we don't have enough information about a circumstance that's happening around us, here's where we can go to open up those pathways of clarity. We can go into that sense of movement. So today, after the replay, you guys are going to get a movement exploration of the spine. We've been talking a lot about the feet, that if you're overthinking, I often say this, go to your feet and breathe, because it's that counterbalance, right? And so with that, now we've talked about the feet, we began to understand more about our visual system, and we understand how we orient to the world, what we're able to take in, how we're able to fill in the vision. Can we see the horizon? Seeing the horizon is incredibly important because it takes those things that we've focused on and it gives them a place to belong. Notice I said that phrase, it gives them a place to belong. It's very important because if we have felt displaced in life, if our dreams have felt displaced, what our inner world is going to ask is please create the space for that belonging to come into the sense of ground so that our dreams, our hopes, our vision has a place to land and be held. That's not a cognitive task. We can say that all day long. But if the nervous system doesn't buy in, if the nervous system doesn't believe it, right, then that's where some of the disruptions and some of the challenges we meet start rubbing against it, and it feels like friction instead of movement. So if you listen to this replay, listen to this part again, because it's not about having enough willpower. It's not about having just dedication alone, although that's part of it. I mean, how many of us know, you have the arena moment, which is great. But how many days come with sunrise, sundown, the same tasks? The grooming, the taking care of your tack, the feeding, the mucking stalls, the going into the Liberty Pen again when nobody else can see you and you know what I mean? You're doing those things and showing up on the daily basis. So we have that, and that's so needed to produce what you see in the arena. And so we want to help our nervous system meet those daily tasks in a way that we can see those miracles in the mundane. And they're all around us. It's allowing the nervous system the space to see them and to take them in, which that's another thing. So we're going to open up with a story. I think when I was talking about this, about the back that holds, the front that does. So we often, and after the story, I'm going to explain more of this, we are more forward facing in general in life. Okay. We often lose sight of our back, which is why we have the statement, you got my back? We have that statement because I can't see my back. One of the things my boys love to do is they would put stickers or something on somebody's, that old thing, and you're just like, I'm just walking around totally clueless that somebody just put a sign on my back. So it's like, I can't see it. I can't orient from my back. I orient from here. So now we're going to add this layer of where does our sense of support come from? Yes, our spine, but it's also in making awareness and contact with our back. So here's who I think of. I'm going to just name her Lila. Lila ran everything from the front, her ranch, her family, her own body. She leaned into, and I even do this too, she leaned into every conversation like she was bracing for impact. There was a certain push, a certain quality of like, I need this to happen. If you've been around people that have that energy, right? You can feel that energy rise. Understandable. She sat forward at her desk because this is what we do, right? We have this tendency of typing and we lean forward, shoulders rounded towards the screen because I got to look at it and I got to concentrate on what this little box is. So for many hours a day, her body had started to forget the other shape. So think about our own life as I explained Lila to you. She began to forget about her other shapes. So when I asked her how life was going, she would say tired, but not the kind of tired that sleep fixes. And what she meant by that, though, was that she didn't have the words for it yet. It was that she had been doing everything from the front of herself, reaching, managing, directing. I often think of a symphony conductor. I'm conducting all of this, anticipating, having to hold back, push back, right? All of that from the front. So let that kind of land for a moment. Because you guys might now be checking in with your back, like where is your back position? How is it being held? How are you, there's that phrase, somebody really got bent out of shape. It's because internally somewhere there's a bend. Literally. Cheryl, I am Lila. I've been Lila too. Yeah. Isn't it great when we can share a story and we can be, and even if the whole story doesn't, resonate with us, we can pick those parts that like, I resonate with that part. I resonate with this. It's been so beautiful for people to encourage just with the last story that I was sharing with Michael Asher. They were like, that's how I felt when I was little. Somebody said no, and they could viscerally feel it. And what somebody did is like, oh, just shake it off, just get up there and do it. And so they had to override themselves. And again, it's not that you don't have an option not to do it, but it's in how we meet that challenge. We don't just push through. It was that challenge was met as I'm here with you. We'll do this together. Very different. If we weren't met with that when we're younger, we're required to meet ourselves with that kind of compassion and support now. But we have to feel into our supports. And it's really important that those that are not well resourced, that actually, when they say I'm not very well supported, I'm going to say this. Sometimes that is 100% true. So this is why we begin to learn the language and the understanding of how to access that internal support, that internal self-leadership. That internal sense of agency and choice is so vital to our nervous system and our brain, feeling a sense of possibility and choice and options. Even when that content or the situation won't change, internally how I meet it does. And that begins to create the biological energy for something different to emerge. So now let's bring in the horse. Anyone who has spent time around a horse knows that that there's a distinction in their bones and the engine of a horse in terms of their front legs and their hindquarters. The big driving muscles of the haunches are what actually propel a horse forward with ease and true power. The front legs are mostly there to catch the horse's weight as it falls forward, stride after stride. A horse that was never taught to carry themselves from behind goes heavy on the forehand, leaning, right? Pushing, pulling, not able to really open up because the hind end isn't giving energy. So the diaphragm can open up as that bridge to allow energy to flow from back to front. And it wears down a horse very quickly because they were never built to do a hindquarters job alone. The front end was never built to produce the energy they can only get from their hind end. We are the same. So just naming this, we do the same thing. We live leaning onto our front end, heavy, forward, trying to catch ourselves over and over again because no one ever taught us that the back was supposed to be doing the supporting and the caring. That the pelvis, as it rolls under, allows there to be a place for the spine to really engage when you get on a horse. So it's that connection, that tuning fork connection. And so we want to feel that tuning fork connection in our daily life because it offers so much information. It offers a sense of stability and it offers a sense of orientation. There was a quote that I saw last week and it was great that somebody said there was a reason why the compass was invented before the clock. You got to know your direction before you get your speed. I thought that was great. It's those statements when you find them, you're like, oh my gosh, like that right there. Like, yes, yes, and yes, right?
And
So
Leanna,
the front, yeah,
I was
go ahead.
thinking just to put a like real life example as you're
Oh
rolling
yeah,
is
yeah.
I like with these fillies when I feel good enough to mess with them, when
Oh
I get
yeah.
real forward with them, like on the
Mm-hmm.
ground, if I'm going up with the halter and I'm forward, like trying to
Mm-hmm.
teach them about fly spray, for example, if I'm real forward,
Right.
they're more like, I ain't dealing with that. And then I can hear your voice and I
Yeah.
do the check, right? Right,
Yes.
actually, like you're getting real forward on them and it's pushing them
Yep.
back, right? And same with my kids. Like there's
Yes.
kind of almost that fight in it too with the kids where I'm like real forward with them and it's checking myself through all those things. So, like she said, guys,
Yes.
it's through, I'm trying to put
Yeah.
it in layman's terms too, which Lana, you're explaining it so beautifully. But
Yeah.
it's with the horses, it's with the kids, it's your
Oh
posture.
yeah.
You're talking to someone when you're upset. If you're real forward, right? It could probably be a
Mhm.
fight trigger too, or an
100%.
argument, right? When
Oh
you
yeah.
kind of soften your spine, it softens your voice and everything.
Abs, you see, you guys are already getting the language and you're already placing it together because there's a couple of phrases that come to me. It's like when people are like, "Don't come at me like that," like right, it's because
Yes,
and somebody's like, "Boom," it's like all that forward energy. Or what do you hear? It's like because I see the my boys at teenagers, they're like bowing up, right? Like, look at that bow up, right?
exactly,
And I'm
exactly.
like, brother, you better back that bow up if you do it. Because you know what I mean? Like you better have the what is it? You better have the money in your account to cash that check.
Exactly.
But
Yeah.
I would probably tell you, and this would be an interesting thing, Ashley even talked to Curtis. It's like when you walk into dangerous situations or compromising situations, if you've got this sense versus like really, do you know what I mean? Like really finding your ground, your center, coming into this position is going to actually keep you safer. It's kind of, I don't know if everybody's able to see that one video. If we'll try that again. It was the TikTok video where the athlete, the ball was coming. Remember, I said how he was focused on the
Yes.
interview but his awareness was expansive that he could feel what was coming from behind. That's
Yeah.
powerful.
And it's so true, right? So my husband's law enforcement. So going into right, like busting in a home or talking to some drug dealers or whatever he's happened to do on that day,
Right.
what posture he carries matters, especially right if you're, law enforcement, I'm sure, and you're pretending to be a
Yeah.
drug dealer and with drug dealers, right? You can't be all
Yeah.
timid and you have to, there's a posture to it, right? Goes with everything you do in life.
Well, we think about exactly when you think about somebody that's confident and's got as I don't know if swag's do they still use that, swag? It's like they got that swagger or whatever. Right? What in your mind, think about somebody has got that confident swagger.
Yeah.
How do you see them move?
With me teaching, I've noticed how people walk into my classroom or kids walk into my classroom. I can tell
Hmm.
exactly where they are at in their head on how they walk into my classroom,
Yeah.
whether they're bent over, kind of the mopey look, or
Hmm.
if they're walking in with their head up confident. Um,
Yes.
so yeah, I can just in being around teenagers for all this time, I can read body language on where they're at and what they're doing. But
Yes.
interesting, same thing goes with my horses. I can change my body language, how I
Yeah.
approach my horse. If I walk up to them all with my, ah, they're like, see ya. But if
Yep.
I walk up to them with a softer, kinder feeling, they'll let
Yes.
me catch them.
And
Yes.
if you walk up to them timid,
Oh yeah.
that's
Yeah.
another thing. And that's same with people, right? Same with your kids too, right? Like
Mhm.
that they fixing to steamroll you,
Exactly.
you know?
If we show up too soft without a sense of form.
There, see, Leanna, you're just good. You're just good.
Well, no, there's just so many ways to explain it. We color with like how many, what's the largest crayon box? Well, let's just color with. I have an analogy. Sometimes when people come in, they're like, I just don't understand why they can't see it. And I'm like, sometimes people start with 8 crayons for a reason.
I like the
And
64 box crayon.
yes, right. So it's just like, so if we ask them to color with chartreuse, I was just using the to having a conversation, like they're like, well, is that red or is that pink? Or do we need to combine these two? It's okay. Conversations can start anywhere, but we're just we're offering that sense of like that container for this conversation. So going back into, I love this because we're weaving in these real life conversations because it's just like we were talking about how many of us identify with Lila. She's very lives from the front. She really forgot that she could take other shapes because the body gets into that compensation pattern. And those compensation patterns aren't repatterned or unwound through big cathartic moments. It's how we meet our daily movement patterns and the thought we put behind them. Oh, my crayon is be broken. Oh my gosh, y'all, we're gonna have Worthy Cowgirl crayons. I see it. Instead of like flowers, we're gonna send Worthy Cowgirl. Like we know
Or
you have.
markers, because those are just better and they're
Yes.
stronger.
So
You need
regulating.
markers, neon,
Yes.
or not neon, whatever your choice is.
Right. So I love it. So then there's the other concept of somebody's like, man, I really need a backbone. Right. So again, that sense of, we'll go back into that felt sense of our back. The back is different. I'm going to remind you, you can't see your own back. You can't manage how it looks. You don't perform from it or check it in a mirror before you walk out the door. You'll be like, how my back look? I don't know. Well, every once in a while, if I'm wearing a certain top, I'm gonna be like, how's that fit in the back? Does that show? Yeah. But in general, you don't check the back when you walk out. You're looking in the mirror and go, how does what forward facing look? It's important to understand that because the back has felt a little neglected, and we're here to open up that conversation and go, we're having a different conversation now. So what happens is that the back becomes a very fertile ground to be witnessed without performance. And this isn't, and so here again, this isn't just poetic. The front surface of your body carries the structures. So now we're going to get a little bit into the neuroscience, just touch into it. The front part of our body carries with it the structures most involved in orienting towards the world and deciding moment to moment whether something out there is safe to approach. Do I need to brace for it or against it? Your eyes, the muscles of your face, throat, chest. That's why when something happens, it's the reflex is we go in to protect these organs here. And we let it, so again, it's we go in because if something's coming at us, we trust our back can take it. That's actually really profound. That has a lot of connection to how we emotionally think and our space to cognitively connect into concepts. And again, we'll unpack these through conversations because this might be the first time that you guys have had a chance to have this kind of conversation. So again, your nervous system, our nervous system spends enormous resources monitoring all of what I just said. That's why throughout the day, as we know our nervous system's having to monitor, we want to give it micro moments of connection, space, a sense of support, a sense of sensing into ourselves so we can live from the inside out, not from the outside in. It's very important. That's where our intuition lies,
What's that?
right?
Oh,
So then we go into your back
I think
does
it's
not
last
have as
year's
much
model.
orient.
Daniel, can you mute, please? Thank
Oh.
you.
Are we buying a car? I didn't know about last year's model. So with that, Again, you guys see where all of our orienting happens a lot from here, but this is why we're making that contact with the back. So then so it often asks us, where in our lives are we running entirely off our front end, our front versus our back? The front says make something happen, let's engage with it, let's create it. The back says you are being carried while you do it. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So, Leanna, especially
Yeah,
this past week, it was wedding week. We've been so busy.
yeah.
Um, Today, like yesterday, kind of got things back in order here on the ranch in the house. Um, this morning, my mind was going, and I just went out and I rode. Didn't have an agenda on my horse,
Yeah.
but I just got to move with him and ride and sit up straight instead of busy, 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 and just
Yes.
sit up straight and look around and enjoy. And like my mind is so much clearer.
Yeah.
I feel so much better
Yes.
from
Because
that.
so the neuroscience of that is you got cerebral spinal fluid flowing in your spinal column that sends messages, lubricates, allows the fascia to begin to have enough lubrication and start sending messages to kind of open up a bit. And then, like you said, it cleared your mind.
Yes. And that's exactly what
Yes.
I needed today because my
Yes.
mind is all over and
Yeah.
I didn't have an agenda on my gelding. I just wanted to get on and just go for a ride and
Yes.
look around. And I think with, you're talking about looking around and sitting up straight and just moving with your spine,
Yes.
so much better. Life is
So much
better.
better. Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely. So now what we're going to do without changing your posture dramatically, just let your weight settle back into the chair. Or if you're not able to have a chair and you're just standing, just let your weight settle into your heels. So remember we talked about like the hind end of a horse. Let's drop into our heels. And I want you to sense, even if it's an image, so I'll do this too. What's the quality of my back? Does it feel disconnected? Does it feel light? Does it feel heavy? Does it feel hard to contact? If you were to think of your spinal column, what's the image that could come up? Is it a coil like this? Is it a stick? Right? You're just literally making contact with how do I touch into the backside of my body? And Renette just asked, why does taking a shower? Oh, yeah, the Blue Mind Effect. It's a book. It's amazing. They actually say a lot of great ideas come by being immersed in water. One, we were created amniotic fluid. So our body is very well versed to being in that space and how we were formed. And that sense of water proprioception moves over your body. That sense of kind of that, it literally has so many beautiful effects. Yes. The warmth, the pattern of it, how it taps into your whole body. So notice I'm tapping my whole body. It's something that's deeply immersive, something that you just don't get, you can't really replicate that feeling in very many places. So as we went through that, right, this is us making contact with the back part of our body. And again, we're gonna have an movement exploration to do that will be sent out with this, but this begins the powerful conversation of who's got my back. Again, it's a statement, but it carries with it a lot of information. So I'm going to just end with a quick summary of what we talked about. And if you guys want to tap into the chat, like what you saw your back, what it was the image, or what was the quality of how your back felt, a board. Yeah. So even being able to say it was a board, it's like for me, mine was a coil and it was kinked in some places. Having that image and just sitting with it and even doing some bilateral tapping side to side, which gets both sides of the hemisphere going. You just stay with that image, find a spot where your eyes want to land, and just be with that image. See if it changes. It might not change. It doesn't have to because it's being met. But this bilateral tapping, right, makes sure that information is flowing across the brain. And at some point, people will say, how do you know when to stop? Because you're going to feel a breath come in. At some point, the nervous system through breath is going to respond and open up a bit. And it just changed into a moving tree in the wind. Yes, because that was the just meeting it. It doesn't have to change. The brain is just like a child. You don't have to tell a child to create. They just start creating. I mean, they're like, I'm going to go paint this picture and draw this picture. Now I'm going to go over here and do this. That is our right brain. And so in those moments where we allow ourselves to make contact with what do I see? What do I feel? What do I sense? That's us coming back into presence, into the here and now, not into the then and there or what we think is coming. It's very powerful, right? It's, again, this is why we're here. This is why we're having the starts at the end. You guys be proud of yourselves. I'm so proud of you because you guys were brave enough and dedicated enough to show up and to start learning this language and start learning these kinds of conversations. Because I know when I started learning these conversations, I was like, thank God, because I'm tired of having the old one. Same old content, same old. I know I should be doing more. I know I should be more dedicated. I know I fell off the wagon with that one. And it was just like this constant like cycle. But when I began to understand a deeper language, a more verbose language, and understanding that it was the state of my nervous system, that really began to give me that what I'm going to call very primal sense of empowerment. I can't change them. I can't change the content. I cannot change the circumstance. But what I can affect, what I can influence is my sense of self-agency, and no one can take from me how I choose to move. Now, because we've been under a constant state of stress or burnout, our movement patterns can do this. They can get into what Lila was, very forward, forward here, leaning, hunched in, concentrated, constantly reaching, moving, pushing out. We had to go back through a lot of the movement explorations we're going to be doing over the next few weeks to help repattern and remind her body she can take other shapes and forms. That's choice. That's possibility. That's a sense of self-agency, a sense of self-leadership. And guess what? It improved her relationships in terms of with her horses and her riding. So this has a direct impact. And she was able to say no more. She was able to hold a boundary without the effort. And she was like, people aren't questioning me anymore. I'm like, right, because how you're moving. Remember that image we had of somebody that has swagger, presence, fluidity? Like, listen, man, it is what it is. And can sit back in their confidence, you bet. That's just not something that happens in the moment. We have to foster those qualities. We have to cultivate, foster them, grow them, right? So here's the recap. Hang on, I got to get my notes. If I'm missing anything, y'all tell me. Okay. Here we go. Living from the front is a default posture of doing. Almost everything we associate with capability and effort happens in the front of the body. The eyes scanning forward, hands reaching forward, hands having to move things around, grab things, pull things, push things, letting go of things. The chest leading into the task, right? Face is presented to the world. What's my face saying? I often say, don't read too much into my face because it's very dynamic and you just never know which thought I got caught on. It probably has nothing to do with because my mom would always she'd go, watch your face. And I'd be like, well, you just quit watching it. Let me have my face. I want my face. Yeah. So I couldn't have my face. So guess what? It very interesting because it was, and I'm just gonna be honest with you, it was seen as a sign of disrespect, which I get. However, what that led to was me growing up being like, don't let him see that. Don't let him see that. Watch that. That could get you in trouble. Begin to freeze some of those expression. That's why a lot of trauma work, yes, it's about the cathartic release, but it's also about opening up the pathways and the capacity to engage back with life in a dynamic, freer way. And that sounds very hopeful. That sounds inviting. That sounds, like there's so much to be created here. But to allow those pathways to feel like they can open back to life is very important. The front is where we problem solve, we anticipate, we brace, we get ready for what's coming. It's also where our most visible and most evaluated place is by others, by ourselves. So over time, a life lived entirely from the front becomes a life lived in constant forward lean. And who knows that if you're forward leaning on a horse and that horse decides to spook, that's not the best position to be in. It's not the safest. So constantly leaning forward, vigilant, task oriented, always meeting what's ahead before it arrives. The back is where we're not watching ourselves. You can't see your own back. You can't perform from it, evaluate it in a mirror, or manage how it looks. That makes it the one part of the body that isn't organized around being seen or being ready because it's there as a support. I'll finish the rest of this on a post today that y'all can read. But the part that I did give you, how does that land for y'all? And now we can just open it up.
So Leanna, on
Yeah.
some people said like I need me some swagger. And I tell people, like, especially the kids, pick your head up, you know,
Mm-hmm.
bring your shoulders and walk with some confidence. And that seemed to have changed
Mm-hmm.
but so can you, on this one, can you fake it till you make it type deal? You know, change your walk till you feel that
Right.
confidence?
Yeah, you can actually tap into. I used to in the play therapy room, I'd have kids take form every kind of walk, a confident walk, a sad walk, an angry walk. Right? We had to remember that we can have different kinds of, but they had gotten so used to a certain kind of walk that they forgot what is their empowered walk felt. What did it feel like? But oftentimes there, I would have to say do movements where they were actually we would lay on the floor so that they could feel contact with their back, and I'd have them breathe the balloon up. I'd put the balloon up and I'm like, okay, breathe it out. Push into the floor. Now breathe, push that balloon up, right? With your breath. And so their whole spine made contact with the floor. Their body got to organize and orient into a full contact with the floor, but the back part of them, because again, they were forward facing, they were forward initiating, lost contact with the back side of us. Because again, we have three midlines, a midline that separates us left to right, the waist, top to bottom, and then front to back midline. Those three midlines are very important. Again, throughout the year, we're going to really unpack that, but they're incredibly important for restoring that sense of our capacity to move with a large movement vocabulary. If those midlines aren't made contact with, or we don't understand how moving around them is beneficial, that's where we get stuck in compensation patterns. But it's exactly it. You can practice what does that walk feel like to you, because you want to own it in a real way, an authentic way, right? But part of it, so this is why today we just talked about how do you make contact with the backside of our body, just even understanding that concept that I orient a ton from here. And I move a lot from here. How can I create counterbalance of support? And that's through the back. But yeah, absolutely. Walk, try different walks. Do you know what I mean? Like practice that, open that up, let your spine and your back really be that place where it supports energy moving to your limbs versus the limbs just reaching for the movement and being very jarring, right? It's that practice of, okay, if I walk, I drop my feet or my weight into my heels, kind of let my pelvis come up underneath me to support the alignment of my spine. And from my center, I then just kind of like move my arm and my hand with that sense of support from here without leaning forward. That's going to be a practice, right? That is literally just going to be micro practices. Yes, sometimes I think it's helpful practice in front of a mirror. Absolutely, Cheryl. Yes, absolutely. Because it's one of those things where I can swear like I am not crooked or doing anything. Then I get in a mirror and I'm just like, well, gosh, yeah, I am leaning more towards this way. Yep. It's
I
good
have a
reflection.
question, Leanna.
Yeah.
So, how do you feel about the Superman pose? Because I have a thought about
Yeah.
that.
Well, I see Amy Cuddy did all that research at Harvard, and she called it the power of presence. And she was the one that started the research, and she noticed that she even went to kids who are differently able to like one and regardless of where they had seen or not seen what's the one pose that everybody took when you cross the finish line and it's arms up like this. It's a universal understanding. And so as she did that research, she tested hormones as to somebody who stayed in the fetal position versus the position somebody would take, like, that picture of the guy who's the boss back in the 50s and they'd have their, legs kicked up on the phone just like this, open, right? And so she did a lot. Amy Cuddy, she did, and she has a great TED talk on that. But yes, Lori, tell me about it because I love that
So
conversation.
it has worked for me.
Yes.
I've had a tendency most of my adult life to take on a lot.
Yeah.
um, and the thing is, like, there's some when you're feeling overwhelmed, and I mean
Yes.
it can be from just overloaded. It can be from, I mean, a relative is going through a sickness battle. Like, I'm just thinking of examples for myself, like things happening in life that are just kind of, where you feel weighted down, but then you still have to do the things you have to do every day, right? Whether your work, or you're taking care of your horses, or you're talking to people, or whatever it is that you still have to keep on doing things every day, right? And so,
Yes.
I guess a lot of I've been through a lot the last few years, like with my brother, and long distance, trying to be there when he was going through sickness, and those kind of things. And so what I've noticed is, if I'm feeling, just really overwhelmed, sometimes I can just do the Superman pose for a minute. And I
Yes.
love this too. That's fantastic. I mean, that's got to be good. So, I mean, you might even do both. But my thought process was, if somebody's trying this walking process, because I mean, it's about movement. Movement has a lot to do with it. But if you're trying the walking process and you start to test these different walks, and you're maybe struggling a little bit because life's got you feeling overwhelmed, what
Oh,
about
yeah.
maybe trying the Superman pose,
Yeah.
for a few seconds? And I usually will breathe, and, I try to move in a little bit, breathe,
Well,
and you're resetting
but look how
your,
you're even doing that. You're moving your
yeah,
spine. You're giving
right.
spinal rotation.
And then you could do this too, but like kind
Yes.
of get yourself, I don't know. To me, it's almost like an one of the internal reset buttons that we can do. But then if you're having trouble walking, and you're still feeling slumped or forward or whatever, you could try one of the poses first, and then
And
try
then
your
move from
walk.
there.
Right.
Yes. It's almost like for you, Lori, what I love about that, why you're sharing that is because you're giving it a framework first. And then you want to move from there. So for you, your body was like, I'm going to set the frame, feel that frame, and then move from it. That's brilliant, right? Like, this is why we have this community and these conversations. Like, just Ashley was like, I noticed with the wheelbarrow. Brooke was saying, like, I feel like I've been fake it till make it with head position. You have a tendency to be forward and look down with your head. Yes, when you're so you, Brooke, are actively repatterning that. Now we get to see, though, as we do some of these movement explorations of the spine and feeling into your back, how that begins to maybe shift that experience there, right? But yes, this is allowing us the space to have these conversations, which I'm super thankful for. So we are at our end. Lori, is there anything you want to say, or Sunny or Ashley? You guys, thanks for the conversation. I'm over here reading everything that you guys send. So thankful.
Yeah, and I did want to kind of follow up. So we had some technical issues last week on the back end, and after some back and forth and everything, so we're going to continue as we are for now. And so and we have an exciting little thing that we're going to announce. We're hoping Friday, but worst case would be the beginning of next week. So, but we're so excited about that. It's going to be connected to the membership, but anyway, yeah. So we're just kind of giving a heads up, like we're going to transition over to our paid membership. And what the purpose of that is, just to allow people, like Ashley said, that you guys know the value of what is happening here and how it can transform your life. I mean, each of us has a personal testimony from, working with Leanna. And so we're gonna roll that out soon, but we'll continue as we are right now. Our goal is to switch the Sundays over to a Zoom. But again, like last week, we had another technical issue, something that was supposed to work and didn't quite work, like that was supposed to. So we're going to transition Sundays over to Zoom, and then we'll continue Tuesday for the paid members. We'll be doing a deeper dive. We'll have more handouts to go along with things, and there's going to be special perks for our members. And it'll be our Worthy Cowgirl Collective membership. And so, anyway, just to kind of touch on that, we're going to share more about it. And again, I'm excited to announce what we have in the works connected to that. So I just wanted to kind of give everybody a heads up and explain in a little bit more detail, and let you know
Beautiful.
where we're at.
Yeah,
Great
listen,
job.
guys, I have part
Yeah.
of my healing journey is my brain is very mushy. So I might look fine with this makeup on, but in my brain, she fires short. So Lori and the team have been helping me clean up when I mess up. So, but I love you guys.
Oh man, I just love that. And Yvette, thank you so much. I like to give this. See, this is so beautiful. Like it brings a tear to my eye because that's why we wanted to place the cost at this because it's giftable, it's shareable. It can be pay, you can pay something forward, because oftentimes, sometimes when we meet people who are in distress, we feel, what is it? We feel helpless. So a part of this too is that if I meet somebody and they need a free month of membership that's supported by someone else, it's like I might not be able to help you in certain ways, but I can help you here. And how powerful would that be for that to grow? So I'm so thankful for each and every one of you. And gosh, so much more to come. So thank you guys. I'm thankful. I love you. We'll see you. Well, we'll see you. Like we'll be making posts and I'll like see you. Thank you guys. Love you.